NetEase has revealed their latest upcoming game, and that is Marvel Rivals. It's a 6v6 fast-paced shooter game that is played similar to Overwatch 1, but it's played from a third-person perspective, and it features superheroes and villains from the Marvel Universe. It will be free to play and is coming to Steam and Epic Games for its closed alpha test happening in May. Like Overwatch, this game will be focused on having options other than guns to take down your opponents, like melee attacks, projectiles, spells, beams and more, along with destructible environments that can dynamically change the map. One of the things that stand out in this game are the team-up abilities that exist between certain characters that can provide buff to them and provide a more tactical advantage. Currently it only exists between 3 pairs of characters. These are Iron Man and Hulk, Namor and Lunar Snow, Rocket, Raccoon and Groot. You get to play as 18 different Marvel superheroes and villains divided among 3 categories: Tank, DPS and Support class. The Tank class features Bruce Banner, Doctor Strange, Groot, Magneto and Peni Parker. For the DPS category we have characters like the Punisher, Storm, Spiderman, Black Panther, Magik, Iron Man, Scarlet Witch, Star-Lord and Namor. And finally for the support class we have Loki, Lunar Snow, Mantis and Rocket Raccoon. Talking about the gameplay of each hero, starting with the amazing Spiderman, he is a DPS hero with 300 base health and his primary attack is a melee, so it has unlimited ammo. He has 4 abilities and an ultimate ability. His shift is a web swing for swinging across the map and has 3 charges. His right click is some sort of a web blast that has 5 charges that can recharge and are shown under the crosshair. His E seems to be a web shot that can be used on a single target to slow them or tie them in a single position if they are close to the wall. His F is an uppercut as we see here, and it can be used to combo with his melee attacks. It has 2 charges and his ultimate is an AoE attack that will deal damage and temporarily stun enemies for a short duration if they are hit 3 times by it. It also gives him 250 shields on top of base health. Black Panther has 300 base health and has 4 abilities. He also may have a passive where if he takes damage he can discharge the damage back into the enemy, using his attacks or abilities as we have seen in the movies.
Delete that footage.
His primary attack is melee claws. His right-click ability is a spear that has 2 charges. His shift is a Genji-like dash from Overwatch where he dashes forward and damages everyone in his path. His E ability is a charging cyclone kick and forward dash, both dealing moderate damage to enemies like Kane's dash reversed from League of Legends. His space ability is either a wall boost or a jump boost, and for his ult he transforms into Bast and has 1 attack that deals heavy damage in front of him. Magik is a DPS with 250 base health and uses a sword for most of her attacks. She has a passive ability that whenever she deals damage to enemies she gains shields proportional to the amount of damage dealt. Her right click is some sort of combo attack that she can use with her sword. Her shift is a portal-based dash that lets her enter a portal where she becomes untargetable and invulnerable. It also changes her primary fire and right-click ability, and she has 3 seconds to do a wide-ranged attack that does more damage. It further adds more combo options to her kit. It has 2 charges that she can use. Her E is a dash uppercut that is used as distance closer and can deal damage. Her ult transforms her into a demonic form where she gets a buff to all her abilities and damage. It lasts for 12 seconds. Her ult also resets some of her cooldowns. Iron Man is a DPS with 250 base health. He has a passive ability that allows him to hover in the air and control his movement, like Pharah in Overwatch but more precise. His primary fire shoots repulsor blasts and his secondary fire is a beam attack. His shift is a movement ability that lets him fly from point A to B. His E is a team-up ability that upgrades his arsenal, and while buffing his damage for a short time it also changes his primary fire. His F are swarm rockets like from Valkyrie in Apex Legends. His ultimate is an AoE missile that explodes on contact and deals moderate to high damage. Namor is a ranged DPS with 250 base health that throws tridents for his primary fire. His right-click ability is a charged trident that deals more damage and has 1 charge before going on cooldown. His shift ability is a shield that covers him in a water bubble for a short time. His E is an octopus turret similar to Torbjorn's turret from Overwatch that can be placed up to 3 times and can be powered up using the C team-up ability from Lunar Snow. His ultimate is a mystery as it was not shown in the gameplay trailer. That was it for the DPS category. Now moving on to the tank category with Bruce Banner. His gameplay is very similar to that of Baby D.Va from Overwatch. You start off as Bruce Banner having 200 base health and a pistol that can shoot gamma bullets, along with a shift ability that is some sort of a nade that can either buff allies or debuff enemies. Ulting as Bruce Banner transforms him into the Hulk and his health increases to 900. Along with his arsenal getting an upgrade, his basic attacks change into melee punches. While in the Hulk form he gets a passive that allows him to leap a certain distance shown with an arc, and if he collides with any enemy during that leap he will take them down with him and knock them down. His right click is a clapping attack that literally claps your enemies. Looking at the promotional art, it also looks like it sends a damaging projectile forward, as it would make sense to the icon. His shift ability is a sort of self-shield that allows him to mitigate damage, and his E seems like an ability that can disorient enemies. His C ability is a team-up ability that works with Iron Man, where he infuses Iron Man with gamma energy. That gives him the upgraded arsenal that we seen earlier. One thing to note here is that in the second clip of Hulk we don't actually see the C ability on his UI. It may be possible that the team-up ability only appears if the other character that you can team up with is in your team. Lastly, his ultimate is pulled straight from the Avengers 1 movie, where he can pick up an enemy and smash them to the ground again and again, dealing heavy damage.
I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
Doctor Strange is a mage tank that has 600 base health. His primary fire is a magic bolt, and for his right-click ability he has a shield similar to Reinhardt, but circular in shape, and has 800 total health that will recharge when not in use. His shift allows him to fly or hover in air using his cape. His E ability seems to be a shield that he can use on allies to mitigate damage. His F ability is his portal with somewhere close to a 100 seconds cooldown, that he can place and connect 2 places. How is it placed we have no idea, but if I had to guess, I would say it would be similar to how Omen from Valorant places his smokes, by going into a wireframe view of the map. Also he can place it however high he wants, as we see in the trailer. For his ultimate we see him using the Eye of Agamotto to stun the enemies in a large area. Peni Parker is a close counterpart to D.Va. She has a passive wall climb ability that lets her reach high ground. Her primary fire is similar to that of D.Va. Her ult is a charging ability like Mauga's shift ability from Overwatch, knocking back and damage anyone that comes in her path. Her right-click secondary fire ability is some sort of drone missiles that have 7 charges before having to reload, or going on cooldown, that are available during her ultimate. Outside her ultimate she has another right-click ability, that seems to be some sort of web shield that can block pathways. Her shift ability is a sort of spider bot deployable. Her E seems to be a concussion mine similar to Junkrat or a venom mine from Widowmaker, and it has 4 charges. Lastly, for her F ability it seems to be a leap attack, where she can jump forward and trap or slow targets in a web trap near her landing destination. For Groot we have no player footage from the trailer, but we can see that he has some sort of a ramp ability, that can act as a shield, and an extended arm ability. His ultimate is similar to Zarya Grav that pulls enemies to itself in a wider range, and keeps them at the place for a few seconds. Lastly, heading into the support class we first have Loki, the Master of Deception, whose gameplay is a mixture between LeBlanc from League of Legends, and Echo from Overwatch. With his E ability he can place a clone of himself at a targeted location, and with his F ability he can swap places with his clone. His right-click ability can turn him invisible to enemies, and his shift is some sort of healing ability that can heal allies. His staff fires projectiles that do splash damage of 50 on direct impact. And lastly, his ult is similar to Echo's ultimate, that allows him to transform into an enemy character, copying their entire kit, and getting their ultimate ability instantly. It lasts for 15 seconds. Lunar Snow is a support character that skates around the map, like Frozone from The Incredibles. We don't know the extent of her passive skating just yet. She has an icicle projectile for her primary fire with 30 ammo. On her C she has a team-up ability that works with Namor, giving him buff for his turrets. Her right-click seems to be a projectile nade that can put a lasting effect on floor when thrown, punishing enemies that pass through it. Her shift seems to be some sort of healing ability. The same goes for her E ability that is a healing snowflake AoE effect maybe. Her ultimate gives her an updated UI in the center of the screen, where she can toggle between healing and speed boost for her and her team while blasting music, similar to how Lucio music works in Overwatch. All her other abilities are locked for the duration of the ultimate. The last character with the gameplay is Raccoon, who has two passives. One is wall climbing, and the other one is slow falling using his jetpacks, similar to how Mercy's passive works from Overwatch. His primary fire is a hit scan auto gun with 45 ammo, and his secondary fire is a healing orb. He has a team-up ability on his C that allows him to ride on Groot. While on Groot's back he can still cast all of his abilities, like his shift, which is a jetpack jump that he can use to abandon Groot and reposition. His E ability seems some sort of drone-like Lifelines drone from Apex Legends. For his ultimate it's some sort of disruptor grenade turret that can either reveal enemies or block their abilities, like Sombra's hack, by looking at the icon. Some characters have no gameplay footage but have been teased in the gameplay trailer. These are Storm, Magneto, Star-Lord, Mantis, the Punisher and Scarlet Witch. By looking at the promotional art we can see that Storm has lightning attacks, and Scarlet Witch has a magic orb. Both of them also have hovering abilities. Magneto has some sort of flying barrier similar to Sigma's barrier from Overwatch. Mantis has some healing ability that makes sense, considering she is in the support class, and the Punisher has her LMG for his ult similar to Rampart from Apex Legends. Star-Lord's gameplay remains a mystery and we will have to wait to see him in action. That was it for all the mechanics of the game so far. If you would like to see future updates, be sure to follow, as I will be posting more about this game in the future. Thanks for watching and bye.